उनका वाराणसी जाने का भी कार्यक्रम है और वाराणसी प्रधानमंत्री का संसदीय क्षेत्र, और जिस तरह से वाराणसी में भी बहुत से ऐसे समुदाय के लोग रहते हैं जो नेपाल में भी, नेपाल के साथ उत्तर प्रदेश, खासकर पूर्वांचल, बनारस और बिहार के बहुत से ऐसे राज्य, बहुत से ऐसे जिले जिनका कि बेटी रोटी का संबंध है नेपाल के साथ, मधेसी कहते हैं इन्हें। इस लिहाज से ये काफ़ी महत्वपूर्ण, सांस्कृतिक लिहाज से भी काफ़ी महत्वपूर्ण, जब नेपाल के प्रधानमंत्री शेर बहादुर देउबा वाराणसी में जाएंगे और वहाँ पे सांस्कृतिक कार्यक्रमों में शामिल होंगे। तो लगातार हम जानते हैं कि कोविड और कोविड के बाद भी भारत की तरफ से वैक्सीन की खुराक दी गई नेपाल को, ताकि भारत और नेपाल के संबंध और भी ऊंचाइयों पर पहुंच सकें। और जैसा कि हम बता रहे हैं कि अब से कुछ ही क्षणों के बाद प्रेस को संबोधित किया जाएगा भारत और नेपाल के बीच। नेपाल के दोनों प्रधानमंत्री इस वक्त मौजूद होंगे और अब से कुछ ही क्षणों के बाद भी एक और महत्वपूर्ण कार्यक्रम वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंसिंग के जरिए जयनगर कुर्था रेलखंड, जो कि जयनगर बिजलपुरा बर्दिवास रेल परियोजना का एक भाग है, वो भी समर्पित किया जाएगा दोनों ही राष्ट्रों के नागरिकों को। इससे बिहार के जो खासकर जो नागरिक हैं उन्हें काफ़ी फायदा होगा। वो अब ट्रेन में बैठकर नेपाल की यात्रा कर सकेंगे और नेपाल के यात्री भी बिहार की यात्रा कर सकेंगे जयनगर तक की। ये बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण, और जैसा कि हम कह रहे हैं कि नेपाल में भारत के सहयोग से अंतर्देशीय रेलवे लाइन पर लगातार चर्चाएं होती रहती हैं, और ये सीधी तस्वीरें प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी और नेपाल के प्रधानमंत्री शेर बहादुर देउबा डायस पर पहुंचते हुए।
His Excellency Mr. Sher Bahadur Deuba, Prime Minister of Nepal, Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, Ministers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you to today's ceremony. We shall begin by witnessing the joint inauguration of projects. First is the launch and operationalization of the 35-kilometer long cross-border rail link from Jayanagar in Bihar to Kurta in Nepal. I request both the Prime Ministers to jointly unveil the e-plaque for the project by pressing the launch button.
You'll have to put hands.
Now, a video depicting the salient features of the project will be played.
India and Nepal enjoy a long-standing relationship which is rooted in its people-to-people connectivity, leading to shared growth of the two countries. This has been further strengthened under the visionary leadership of Prime Minister Modi, taking our bilateral ties to the next level, including construction of Motihari-Amlekganj pipeline, integrated checkposts at Biratnagar and Birganj, road infrastructure, post-earthquake reconstruction projects, and many more initiatives. This time, it is getting even more stronger with the inauguration of cross-border passenger rail services between Jayanagar in India and Kurta in Nepal. This rail line will connect Nepal with all major cities of India through railway via Jayanagar in India. This is the first cross-border broad-gauge rail project between India and Nepal and the first passenger rail service between the two countries since passenger rail services halted in 2014 for upgradation of rail infrastructure. The key highlight of this integrated rail infrastructure project is to convert the old narrow-gauge railway track to broad gauge and further extend it to Bardibas in Nepal. The project is being built under Government of India grant assistance of 876.8 crore Nepalese rupees and is being designed, planned, and executed by Aircon International Limited. The operationalization of the passenger rail services on the section are being undertaken by Nepal Railway Company, with the demo set procured by Nepali side through an arrangement with Konkan Railway Corporation Limited. The rail section connects the historic city of Janakpur in Nepal with sweet, heartwarming Maithili tradition of Madhubani in India, and will further boost people-to-people linkages, which is the core of the India-Nepal relationship. This rail project stands as a perfect example of bilateral partnership and cooperation between India and Nepal as part of Neighborhood First policy envisioned by Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi.
Now, I request both the Prime Ministers to flag off the inaugural run of the cross-border passenger train service. Next, we have the inauguration of the 90-kilometer long 132 kV Solu corridor transmission line built with the Indian line of credit at a cost of rupees 200 crores. I request both the Prime Ministers to jointly unveil the e-plaque for the project by pressing the launch button.
India and Nepal share a unique and age-old relationship of friendship and cooperation. The strength of bilateral cooperation is also visible in the power sector, where India and Nepal are working on several aspects, such as development of generation projects, power transmission infrastructure, and power trade. Today, India and Nepal are marking yet another milestone in this field through inauguration of the Solu Corridor project. Solu Corridor is a 90-kilometer long, 132 kilovolt double-circuit power transmission line and substation project. It is implemented by Nepal Electricity Authority and financed by India's line of credit extended through the Exim Bank of India. The Solu Corridor connects relatively remote Solukhumbu, Khotang and Okhaldhunga districts of Nepal with the national electricity grid. It will evacuate electricity from hydro projects in these areas into the national grid and also supply the rural electrification networks. As one of Nepal's iconic infrastructure projects, Solu Corridor is a yet another symbol of India's commitment to the development partnership with Nepal as part of the Neighborhood First policy.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I now request both the Prime Ministers to jointly launch the RuPay card in Nepal by pressing the launch button.
As close neighbors, India and Nepal share unique ties of friendship and cooperation characterized by an open border and deep-rooted people-to-people contacts. RuPay, the first global card payment network from India, has financially empowered more than 70 crore Indians from all sections of the society. Through its affordability, convenience of use, and wide acceptance, RuPay has already become a global brand under the leadership of Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi. The Nepal SBI Bank, with support from Nepal Rashtra Bank, is now making RuPay cards functional on all Nepal SBI points of sale machines in Nepal. 1,400 such machines are present in major locations across Nepal, including iconic sites such as Pashupatinath, Lumbini, Janakpur, Manakamna, etc. The launch of RuPay in Nepal would be a milestone in bilateral and regional financial connectivity. It will facilitate tourism into Nepal, bring in foreign exchange, and strengthen people to people linkages. It will also make traveling easier for Indian tourists and pilgrims. RuPay launch in Nepal is yet another symbol of the priority attached by India to the development of India's neighborhood, captured under India's Neighborhood First policy.
Coming up next, we will witness a video clip on the progress in construction of 132 health facilities in Nepal, undertaken with a US $50 million in post-earth reconstruction grant assistance.
The Gorkha earthquake of 2015 in Nepal impacted lives of millions of people and caused a wide-scale damage to property and public infrastructures. To supplement the efforts of Government of Nepal in the post-earthquake reconstruction, Government of India committed $1 billion comprising of $250 million as grant for housing, heritage, education, and health sectors, and $750 million as line of credit. Under the health sector grant of $50 million, 132 health facilities are being undertaken in 10 earthquake-affected districts of Nepal. The likely completion time of all health facilities is by December 2023. The district hospital at Gulmi is the biggest hospital project to be built under the present grant.
र यो गुल्मी जिल्लाकै सबैभन्दा ठुलो र अत्याधुनिक हस्पिटल पनि हो र यसको लागि भारत सरकारप्रति आभारी छ।
Once completed, these earthquake resilient structures will provide access to quality healthcare services in safe environment to millions of people, including those living in the remotest locations in Nepal, besides creating employment opportunities for thousands of medical professionals. These healthcare sector reconstruction projects will emerge as another landmark in the India-Nepal cooperation and development partnership.
Ladies and gentlemen, now we have the exchange of 4 documents signed between India and Nepal. For the first, I request Mr. Devendra Karki, the Energy Secretary of Nepal, to hand over the signed copy of the framework agreement of the International Solar Alliance to Dr. Ajay Mathur, Director General of the International Solar Alliance, the ISA. We welcome Nepal's entry into the International Solar Alliance. The second is the exchange of MOUs on enhancing technical cooperation in the railway sector between Mr. Rabindranath Shrestha, Secretary, Ministry of Physical Infrastructure and Transport from the Government of Nepal, and Shri V.K. Tripathi, Chairman, Indian Railway Board. Third is the exchange of agreement on supply of petroleum products between Shri Shrikant Madhav Vaidya, Chairman, Indian Oil Corporation Limited, IOCL, and Dr. Ganesh Prasad Pandey, Chairman, Nepal Oil Corporation, NOC. The fourth is the exchange of agreement for sharing of technical expertise also between the IOCL and the NOC. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the project inauguration and the exchange of agreements ceremony. I now request the spokesperson of the Ministry of External Affairs to conduct the proceedings.
Honorable Prime Ministers, Ministers, members of both delegations, friends from the media, we will now begin with the press statements. May I now request Shri Narendra Modi, Honorable Prime Minister of India, to make his press statement. Sir, the floor is yours.
Your Excellency, Prime Minister Sher Bahadur Devbaji, distinguished delegates, मीडिया के साथी, नमस्कार। प्रधानमंत्री देवबा जी का भारत में स्वागत करते हुए मुझे बहुत प्रसन्नता हो रही है। आज भारतीय नववर्ष और नवरात्रि के पवित्र अवसर पर देवबा जी का शुभ आगमन हुआ है। मैं उनको और भारत और नेपाल के सभी नागरिकों को नवरात्र की बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं देता हूं। देवबा जी भारत के पुराने मित्र हैं। प्रधानमंत्री के रूप में यह उनकी 5वीं भारत यात्रा है। भारत नेपाल संबंधों के विकास में देवबा जी की महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका रही है। फ्रेंड्स, भारत और नेपाल की दोस्ती, हमारे लोगों के आपसी संबंध, ऐसी मिसाल विश्व में कहीं और देखने को नहीं मिलती। हमारी सभ्यता, हमारी संस्कृति, हमारे आदान प्रदान के धागे प्राचीन काल से जुड़े हुए हैं। अनादि काल से हम एक दूसरे के सुख दुख के साथी रहे हैं। हमारी पार्टनरशिप के आधार, उस आधार में हमारे लोगों के आपसी संबंध, उनके बीच आदान प्रदान है। ये हमारे संबंधों को ऊर्जा देते हैं, संबल देते हैं। और नेपाल के संबंध में भारत की नीतियां, हमारे प्रयास इसी आत्मीयता की भावना से प्रेरित रहते हैं। नेपाल की शांति, प्रगति और विकास की यात्रा में भारत एक दृढ़ साथी रहा है और हमेशा रहेगा। फ्रेंड्स, आज देवबा जी और मेरे बीच इन सब विषयों और कई अन्य महत्वपूर्ण मुद्दों पर भी सार्थक बातचीत हुई। हमने अपने सहयोग के विभिन्न पहलुओं पर चर्चा की, विभिन्न प्रोजेक्ट्स की प्रगति की समीक्षा की और भविष्य की रूपरेखा पर भी विचार विमर्श किया। हम दोनों सहमत हैं कि हमें पावर सेक्टर में सहयोग के अवसरों का पूरा लाभ उठाना चाहिए। हमारा जॉइंट विजन स्टेटमेंट ऑन पावर कोऑपरेशन भविष्य में सहयोग का ब्लूप्रिंट साबित होगा। हमने पंचेश्वर परियोजना में तेज गति से आगे बढ़ने के महत्व पर जोर दिया है। यह प्रोजेक्ट इस क्षेत्र के विकास के लिए एक गेम चेंजर सिद्ध होगा। हमने भारतीय कंपनियों द्वारा नेपाल के हाइड्रो पावर डेवलपमेंट योजनाओं में और अधिक भागीदारी के विषय पर भी सहमति व्यक्त की। यह प्रसन्नता का विषय है कि नेपाल अपने सरप्लस पावर भारत को निर्यात कर रहा है। इसका नेपाल की आर्थिक प्रगति में अच्छा योगदान रहेगा। मुझे बताते हुए हर्ष हो रहा है कि नेपाल से पावर आयात करने के कई और प्रस्तावों को भी स्वीकृत किया जा रहा है। मुझे इस बात की प्रसन्नता है कि नेपाल इंटरनेशनल सोलर अलायंस का सदस्य बन गया है। इससे हमारे क्षेत्र में सस्टेनेबल, अफोर्डेबल और क्लीन एनर्जी को बढ़ावा मिलेगा। फ्रेंड्स, प्रधानमंत्री देवबा जी और मैंने व्यापार और सभी प्रकार से क्रॉस बॉर्डर कनेक्टिविटी, उस इनिशिएटिव्स को प्राथमिकता देने पर भी सहमति जताई। जयनगर कुर्था रेल लाइन की शुरुआत इसी का एक भाग है। दोनों देशों के लोगों के बीच सुगम, बाधा रहित आदान प्रदान के लिए ऐसी योजनाएं बेहतरीन योगदान देगी। नेपाल में रुपे कार्ड की शुरुआत हमारी फाइनेंशियल कनेक्टिविटी में एक नया अध्याय जोड़ेगी। अन्य प्रोजेक्ट्स जैसे नेपाल पुलिस एकेडमी, नेपालगंज में इंटीग्रेटेड चेक पोस्ट, रामायण सर्किट आदि भी दोनों देशों को और करीब लाएंगे। फ्रेंड्स, भारत और नेपाल के ओपन बॉर्डर्स का अवांछित तत्व द्वारा दुरुपयोग न किया जाए, इस पर भी आज हमने चर्चा की। अपनी डिफेंस और सिक्योरिटी संस्थाओं के बीच गहन सहयोग बनाए रखने पर भी हमने बल दिया। मुझे विश्वास है कि आज की हमारी बातचीत भारत नेपाल संबंधों के भविष्य के लिए महत्वाकांक्षी लक्ष्य निर्धारित करने के लिए कारगर सिद्ध होगी। देवबा जी, आप कल काशी में होंगे। नेपाल और बनारस का सदियों पुराना संबंध रहा है। मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि काशी के नए स्वरूप को देखकर आप जरूर प्रभावित होंगे। एक बार फिर आपका और आपके प्रतिनिधिमंडल का भारत में स्वागत है। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
Thank you, sir. May I now request His Excellency Mr. Sher Bahadur Deuba, Prime Minister of Nepal, to make his statement to the press.
I thank you, Prime Minister Shri Modi ji, for your kind words. I am touched by the warm welcome and the generous hospitality extended to me and my delegation. I recall your landmark first visit to Nepal in 2014 and other subsequent visits, which have helped nurture a bond of friendship and cooperation between our two countries. I truly admire your love and affection to Nepal and Nepali people, and my visit today will further reinforce this innate sentiment. This is my fifth visit to India as the Prime Minister of Nepal. This time I am particularly delighted to visit India in a special year with Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav is being observed, and we are also celebrating 75th year of formalization Nepal-India diplomatic relations. I admire the progress that India is making under the visionary leadership of Shri Modi ji. We have been India's effective management battling COVID-19. I received first vaccine assistance from India, as well as medicine, medical equipment, and logistics to combat COVID pandemic, for which I thank Prime Minister Modi ji and Government of India. As Prime Minister Modi ji mentioned already, Modi ji and I have friendly talk and fruitful discussion on various aspects of India-Nepal relations and shared our perspective on further strengthening our friendly ties with forward-looking approaches. Separately, as we had delegation level talk, where we took a broad overview of our relations in all dimensions: political, economic, and social development matters. India and Nepal share age-old, time-tested, and multidimensional ties that covers all spheres of our interaction. We share democratic values, culture ethos, and civilization linkage, and similar ambition in inclusive development. The relations between our two countries have been widened and deepened with passage of time. These relations have been enriched by close people-to-people contact. For Nepal, relations with India are highly important. We look upon the tremendous economic transformation that India has achieved. We are eager to benefit from India's progress through mutually beneficial economic partnership. Consequently, I remind an important part of our discussion. I and Prime Minister Modi ji jointly flagged of the inauguration of passenger service between Jayanagar to Kurta rail link today, which was constructed under the generous assistance of India. We also discussed about the building of integrated checkposts and dry port in Chandari, Dodhara, agreed to an early completion of the ongoing work on ICP Nepalganj. I requested India for early commencement of construction of ICP in Bhairava. We also witnessed exchanges of MOU on technical cooperation in the railway sectors. We both are confident that further connectivity, project, road, railway, and gain further momentum. Likewise, we have discussed cooperation in civil aviation. We have discussed Nepal's request additional air entry route to Nepal through Jayanagar, Nepalganj, and Janakpur. I also requested for concurrence of near border flight operation to supply operationalize Gautam Buddha International Airport in Bhairava. A few weeks ago, India and Nepal signed 2 MOU on construction of motorable bridge from Darchula, Nepal to Dharchula, India, over Mahakali River and another on supply urea DAP from India to Nepal on government-to-government basis. Our two sides are working on the early delivery of hundreds of 50,000 metric tons of chemical fertilizer before planting regional start. Bilateral trade between our two countries growing, discussed the way to address huge trade deficit. In view of Nepal's high potential for hydroelectricity generation and export, it is important to have broad understanding in power export cooperation between our two countries. So cross-border power trade remained a priority agenda during the discussion. I am happy that Nepal-India joint vision statement for power sector cooperation that we have agreed upon today, mutually beneficial cooperation on hydroelectricity generation, transmission, cross-border. I welcome Prime Minister Modi's offer to purchasing electricity from Nepal. We agreed to conclude revised transit treaty, which will facilitate operational rail, cargo, transit, private sector, and inland waterways across the regional port. We also launched today operational rupee card in Nepal that will help to promote the flow of Indian tourists in Nepal. Water resources remains an important area of cooperation between our two countries for mutual benefit. Prime Minister Modi ji and I discussed various aspects of cooperation in water resources, inundation and flood control and power sector. We jointly inaugurated today 90 kilometers long, 120 KVDC solo corridor transmission line project built under the Indian line of credit. We discussed about early completion of DPR Pancheswar multipurpose project, which would be milestone of Nepal-India cooperation, hydropower development. India's cooperation has been vital in Nepal's health sector as well. I appreciate Prime Minister Modi's assistance for India to address COVID-19 pandemic, including vaccine, medical supplies, and liquid oxygen. Our discussion also covered upgrading the GP Kuala National Center for Respiratory Diseases in Nepal into GP Kuala National Institute of Health Sciences. I extend my sincere appreciation to the Government of India for substantial support in our reconstruction efforts. We are witnessed the progress in constructing 132 health posts in 10 districts of Nepal being constructed of Indian grant assistance. And Prime Minister Modi assured me that from Jobani to Viratar, there will be a line and other areas also will be helped by India. Thank you very much. Both of us agreed that exchange of high-level visits should be regular. It helps promote mutual understanding, visit, confidence. I have invited Modi ji for the visit of Nepal. We eagerly look forward welcoming Prime Minister Modi ji. As Modi ji told me that we have also heard that Banaras is a very religious place for Hindus. Nepali people also, they love to once in the lifetime visit to Banaras, visit to Vishwanath, and even people in Nepal, they used to Kashi-bas, they used to talk Kashi-bas before they die. They want to die, cremate Kashi. Therefore, we have heard that you have made it very helpful, beautiful, and there was, now I have heard that water also clean, Ganga, very clean. Thank you very, very much, Your Excellency. That will definitely will be grateful that we will also would like to visit Banar, Vishwanath Mandir, and we are very much helpful for this also, for your kind remarks, Excellency. As, in earthquake also time, India helped to build many buildings I have seen there. Thank you for this also. There are still, there are projects, still there are some small problems. We would like to request you that to build more houses there. And as I would like to speak now that we discussed the boundary issues, and I asked Modi to resolve through establishment and bilateral mechanism. Thank you very much, Excellency.
Thank you, Excellency. That concludes the press statements. Thank you for joining us. Please remain seated as the two leaders leave the room.